What do I do? What should I write? I thought I finally got it. Loops, arrays, functions, I understood the concepts. I passed every quiz. Then I opened a blank file to build something real. And I froze. Didn't I learn enough? Should I go find another tutorial and end up right back here, staring at this same blinking cursor? That loop is the actual trap, not lack of knowledge, the loop itself. So let's actually break it: 3 levels, 3 exact reasons you freeze, and what to do about each one. There's a name for the exact gap you're stuck in. If you can solve a LeetCode style problem but can't build a to-do app that saves your tasks after you refresh the page, you're here. Here's the actual gap. Every course you've taken teaches you to manipulate data that's already sitting in front of you. An array is on line 5, you loop over it, you're done. But in a real app, that data has to come from somewhere, travel somewhere, and land somewhere. That's the part nobody explains. So let's actually explain it. Where does data live? Not in your JavaScript file. It lives in a database, on a server, somewhere that isn't your laptop. Because if it lived only in your code, every user would see the exact same hard-coded thing. And it would disappear the second they closed the tab. A database is just a program whose entire job is storing and organizing information so it survives. How does your app get it? Your front-end doesn't have direct access to that database. It sends a request across the internet to a backend. This is what an API is, an agreed-upon set of doors. Your front-end knocks on a door like /API/tasks. The backend hears it, goes and asks the database for the actual rows, and sends the answer back, usually as JSON, data formatted as text so it can travel over a network. What happens when it arrives? The response lands back in your front-end code. You take that JSON and put it into what's called state. Basically, a variable your framework is watching. The moment that variable changes, the UI redraws itself to match. That's it. That's the whole loop. User does something, request goes out, backend talks to database, data comes back, state updates, screen updates. What you actually need to learn at this level, not a new framework. You need to build one tiny full loop, end to end, with your own hands. Write a backend with one endpoint that returns a hard-coded object. Write a front end that fetches it and logs it to the console. Then swap the hard-coded object for a real row from a real database. That's the entire skill. Once you've built that pipe once, every "how do I connect front-end to back-end" panic disappears because you've physically seen data cross the wire. Maybe you're past pillar 1. You get how front-end and back-end talk. But you open a new project, you know roughly what you want to build, and you still can't type the first line. This isn't a knowledge gap anymore. It's that you're trying to do 2 hard things in the same second. Figuring out what the app should do, and figuring out how to write it without an error. Design and syntax at the same time, live, with a blinking cursor judging you. That's genuinely too much load for one brain to hold at once. Which is why experienced developers don't actually work that way. They separate the 2 jobs. First, they figure out the logic in plain language with 0 code. Then, only after that, they translate it to syntax, the easy, mechanical part. So here's the move. Before you write a single real line, write comments. Just comments. Describe the feature the way you'd explain it to a friend. For a live search filter, it might look like: grab the value the user is typing. On every keystroke, compare it against the list. Keep only items that match. Update the screen with the filtered list. No syntax yet, just the sequence of what needs to happen. Once that's written, converting each comment into actual code is almost boring. The hard thinking is already done. The blank page isn't scary anymore because it's not blank. You're just filling in code under a plan you already wrote. This is the sneaky one. Your app actually runs. Data flows, features work. And you still don't want anyone to see the file because it's a wall of nested ifs, copy-pasted logic, and nothing named properly. So you spend 3 days renaming folders and cleaning up a fetch function that already worked, changing things at random, hoping it starts to feel less embarrassing. It doesn't because you're not actually refactoring. You're just moving the mess around. Nobody ever gave you an actual checklist for what clean means, so you're guessing. Here's the checklist. 5 things in order and you're done. Folder structure, group by feature, not by file type. Dry, don't repeat yourself. Pull duplicated logic into one function, import it wherever you need it. Deduplication beyond copy-paste, 2 functions doing almost the same thing, merged into one with a parameter. Naming, rename the vague stuff to what it actually holds. Separation of concerns, untangle fetching, rendering, and error handling into separate pieces. Run that list against your working code once. That's the entire refactor. So, which one is actually yours? If you don't know how data moves between frontend and backend, that's the only thing to fix. Build one small pipe, end to end. If you know the flow but freeze on a blank file, ban yourself from writing code first. Write the plan in comments. If it works, but it's a mess, don't rewrite it out of shame, run the checklist. Folder structure, dry, deduplication, naming, separation of concerns. Once deliberately, not for 3 days. None of these are a talent problem. Each one is a specific, fixable skill. Find the level that's actually yours, fix that one thing, and the blank file stops being the enemy. The cursor is ready. You already know more than you think.